Hey guys, David here and welcome to this video. So I finally did it and converted my PC again to water cooling. It was just kind of temporary ever since I came back from my exchange here in America. I just had an air cooler zip tied onto the motherboard and it worked fine, but it wasn't far from ideal. So in this video I'm gonna show you what and how I did it. So I didn't really add any new components in this kind of rebuild. I just added a simple hard drive bay in the front where I can hot swap a hard drive to easily make backups, but that's about the only hardware. Otherwise, we have a very, by now, kind of old Intel i7 5820K on an X99A SLI Plus from MSI with 48 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, 1070 Ti as the main video card, and 970 for GPU pass-through for my Windows VM. So first step was just disassembling the PC and getting out all the parts that I wanted to change. Now I had some parts on the motherboard sprayed white for my Witcher build when I last used this motherboard, so I disassembled the motherboard again and spray painted those pieces black. I realized that there were those kind of separate metal covers on top of the aluminum heatsinks. So I removed those, and instead of spray painting them black, I stripped them bare of any paint and put them on as silver accents. As the color scheme for this piece build is going to be black for the most part with some silver and color accents. For right now, the only color accents are with lighting and the temporary cable sleeving that I put in there, so I can still change it around. So all the components are only black and silver. The next step was also painting the radiator as well as from the Witcher build. So I masked it off, cleaned it and spray painted it black. You're not gonna see very much of the radiator, it's very much hidden up in here, but I still wanted to make sure that everything is nice and uniform. Then reassembling the PC was pretty straightforward as everything was in there previously already, and I just added some nice LED fans, or first put in Vardar fans, but then I decided to put in LED fans as you can see when you look through the top it looks really cool with the glow coming through. And then it was already time to do some water cooling. To mount the pump in the front I had to make some custom contraption. I just bent a piece of aluminum and made a couple holes in it and used that to mount the pump in there. And it got really cramped here in the front. The tubing bends coming from the reservoir, which I mounted on top, coming down and having one has to go into the pump and the other one goes over and then into the radiator. Those were really kind of difficult because there's not much space there, but I managed to do them and I think it looks really nice. And although this case is really huge, it has surprisingly bad support for water cooling. Like, I wasn't able to fit a reservoir in a decent place because my GPUs were just a little bit too long for it to just be nicely here in the center, and there wasn't really any other place to like prominently nicely display it. I mean, I could have fit it in there, but I didn't want to just tuck it in the corner. So that's why I decided to make a feature out of it and put it on top. All the other bands went pretty smoothly. By now I've done a couple water cooling builds, so bending the tubes has gotten a lot easier. This time around I also designed proper filling and draining spots. I added a drain port right at the CPU where it's very prominent, and normally you would never do that, you're gonna try to hide the drain port. But I want to add some more silver into the mix. And since fittings are really nice and shiny silver, I put in the T-plug and the valve and everything for the drain port right prominently in the center, and I think it actually looks kind of nice and I made a feature out of it. It also is at the very bottom of the loop, so draining is gonna be really easy when I have to do that. The reservoir has another port at the top where I can very easily fill the loop from the top, and I actually was able to fill the loop up about like 95% without ever having to turn on the pump. Then I just turned on the pump to get some air out, topped it off and closed it off. And believe it or not, right now it is just tap water running in there. Now I know many of you will probably be, what? No, you can't do that. But for most cases, as long as you don't run it for a long period of time, tap water is perfectly fine. I have ordered some other fluids, but they haven't arrived yet, and I just wanted to get on with the build. So in the end, I'm gonna probably go with UV red. That means that the coolant itself is gonna be clear under normal light, and then when I have a UV light shining on it, which is gonna be only inside of the PC, it's gonna glow red. So it's gonna have this cool effect where the water on top is clear and then on the bottom it's gonna be glowing red. At least that's how I envision it. I'm gonna post on Instagram once I get that done. So make sure to follow me, link is down in the description. And other than that, it was just some minor touch-ups, a little bit of cable management, and here we go. I think it came out really nice, and one thing I need to add in the future are some dedicated sleeve cables. Right now I just have, for the 24-pin, an old sleeve cable from one of my first PCs ever, and the other ones don't have like dedicated extensions, but that's something for another day. So if you liked it, please leave a like down below for this video, and also check out some of my other PCs that I've built. I'm gonna have some linked down in the description and also in the cards and all that good stuff. You can also check me out on Twitter, Instagram, where I'm gonna post more updates once there are. So make sure you follow me there, and until next time.